Most of the time when we are in high school, we rely on motivation to get us to study and get good grades and try out for the team, whatever. And that's why, my friend, we find ourselves failing. So my question to you is, what if your room did half the work for you? Well, I'm going to show you how to make this happen. In today's video, what we're going to do is take a look at smart home tech. So you can literally pack out your own bedroom to help you run automations and routines to get your work done and actually sit down and study effectively and efficiently. Now, while the first part of the video, I'm going to explain some of these things and show you some of these things, at the end of the video is where I'm going to put it all together and share some of these awesome routines. Now, today's video is going to be a high-level 30,000 foot view type of video. And what we're going to do is break this down into three sections: the actual devices that you may or may not need, the triggers to how they actually get started and these things actually work on themselves, and the routines, what actually happens, what turns on, what gets blocked, all these different things. Now, some of the core devices are really simple and you probably already have them. For instance, you can do probably 90% of this with just your phone, your computer, and a good Wi-Fi router. Now, what's going to make this really cool is when you start getting some of these little additional things like a smart bulb, right, that changes colors, maybe a smart light strip, they have a smart plug, all these different little smart devices that you can kind of pack out your bedroom. Now, you can get really nerdy if you want and pick up little things like a little actual button that you can press and certain things go off, or even an NFC tag where you can have it maybe in your wallet and you can kind of pass it over another tag, different things like that. You can get really nerdy real quick. But if you are going to even add one thing to your little tech stack here, I would suggest a voice-activated device. Now, maybe you already have an Amazon Alexa or a Google Home or whatever it may be, or even an Apple Pod thing, whatever they call it. I don't know, Siri. Is Siri still a thing? I guess Siri's still a thing. But you're ultimately, I think, that will help you. Even if you don't use the voice part of it, you're going to be able to run a ton of different routines just by having that device. Now let's get into section 2, which is the triggers. How will these routines, how will these things actually start? Now, there are a ton of different ways to do this, but one of the easiest, obviously, is if you pick up an Amazon Lady A, let's call her. I don't want to say it again. She's going to go off. But if you pick up one of those, you can literally say, hey, Alexa, do X, Y, Z, or run this routine, yada, yada, yada. Now, a second favorite of mine, which is really cool, is the time of day. You can set up a lot of these routines with the smart device, or even anything else that is in tandem with just time of day. So if you study and do your homework at, say, 3 o'clock or 3:30, whatever, you can run it at that time Monday through Friday. Now, one of my favorite and absolute favorites is location, because this takes all the guesswork out of it. When you arrive home, because your system knows that your phone is coming home, it can do a whole bunch of things. And this completely takes any of the friction out of it. Like, you don't want to study, I don't have to say it. No, it's already happening. You're here. You're ready to go. And again, if you want to take it to that next level, you could always, as I said before with the devices, have a button that triggers you. There's all these different third parties like a Cara, or even, I used to be back in the day, Smart Things. You'd hit that button, the routine goes, or an NFC tag, you program it, wave it over wherever you want to wave it in your room, the whole thing starts. Or if you get really nerdy, you can do actual keyboard shortcuts, even if you have on your computer keyboard, or if you have something like a Stream Deck, any type of little shortcut that you program can run a routine. And last but not least, when it comes to triggers, one of the coolest things you could do is use something like IFT, right? IFTTT, if this, then that. And you can kind of daisy chain events. So say if you have something that happens and then you want XYZ to happen, you can program it through IFT. So let's get into the really cool stuff, the actual routines. So let's break down 3 different type of routines. We're going to start with the morning routine. So you can have all of this happen automatically just to get you out of bed. I mean, how many times have we procrastinated and snoozed and snoozed and snoozed? Now we're late to school. Now we're late to that first class. Now our teacher hates us. Like, I get it. Trust me, I did the same thing. But if you can, again, take the guesswork out of it, take your responsibility and your friction away from it, and it's just happening, then there you go. For instance, your morning routine could be, hey, your voice device sets an alarm. So you can, that every morning at, say, 6 o'clock, whatever, the alarm goes off. But not only does the alarm go off, now the lights start to slowly fade, right? To slowly fade on to kind of gradually wake you up, or you could just have the lights happen. And then after that, you could have your voice device read to you your whole day. You could say, hey, this is what's on your calendar. Here's going to be the weather. And here's what's going on in the news if you really want that. And then you could also say, you could program it to say whatever you want. If you want to have some positive affirmations, plug it in there. If you want to do whatever, help you get to the next part of your routine, it can just interrupt you and say, hey, time to move on to the next part of your routine, time to start your workout, time to go eat breakfast, whatever it may be. But why this is so cool is because, again, it removes decision fatigue. And if we're just getting out of bed and it's the middle of winter and it's warm and cozy and you don't want to do that, it's just happening. You don't have a choice. And plus, it's setting a really good tone for the day. Now, here I think is one of the most powerful routines. And this is probably so cool and will help you so much, because when you come home, oftentimes is going to be at some point a time where we have to start studying. And again, if your schedule is very consistent, you don't have a lot of after school activities, you can set it to start doing this as soon as you come home. But if you are, you have rehearsal one day and practice the other day in this club and that club and whatever, and you're coming home at all random times, then maybe you want to do something like a shortcut on your phone, or just simply ask the voice device to do it, or a really cool, little button or something like that. But for instance, you come home and you want to start your homework routine or your study routine. Here's what we do. Now, the lights change, right? Because we want to set the tone, and maybe you want to have it some cool, blue or warm, whatever you choose, right? Spotify or whatever music device now can start playing your focus playlist, which is awesome. And on top of that, you can now program either your Wi-Fi router or a third-party program, say like Freedom, to actually cut out all of your social media apps and block your social media apps or even any other website for a certain amount of time. And you want to go one step further. If you have, say, a TV, if you now put a smart plug into the TV through the power cable, you could also program that to turn off. Yes, you can go get up and press it back on and turn it back on. But again, it's the friction. It's trying to remove all the possible distractions from keeping you studying. I mean, when that is your setting and that's what you walk into, there's nothing else to do. You know what? Let's crack the book. Let's go. Another very powerful routine would be your evening routine. This is where you're trying to get ready to bed and get some actual sleep, because you and I both know that's really important, but it's hard, right? It's hard when everybody's on either WhatsApp or Snapchat or whatever, and you just kind of want to give yourself a little bit more time at night because you deserve it. I get it. You worked hard. So what can we do? Well, obviously, let's get those lights set how we want automatically. Maybe a playlist starts or whatever it may be. But again, now we're talking about blocking. Maybe you have a gaming console that's in a power strip, and you can have a smart power strip that literally kills that. Or if you want to go that one step further, have your Wi-Fi, cut all Wi-Fi to all devices, whatever you may want or need. You can go as extreme or as light as you really want with it. Now, one little note here. What I would do before you really go too deep down this rabbit hole, I would pick an ecosystem. So you have to decide whether you're going to use Apple, whether you're going to use Amazon, or whether you're going to use Google. Those are the three big ones. If you're really nerdy, you could do like Home Assistant and pick yourself up a Raspberry Pi, a little computer, all these little things. But those are really, for most of us, the big three we have to decide. Because once you decide that ecosystem, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to pick and choose which devices work with what. And now most all devices work with Matter on all of them. But either way, it's much easier to pick one ecosystem. And I would highly suggest the ecosystem that you're already using. So if you're an Apple person, if you're a Mac person, then obviously go Apple, go Apple HomeKit. If you're an Android person, then you can go either way, whatever you choose. So again, why is this so powerful? Yes, it's cool. Yes, it's like fancy and really, check this out. But why does this work for you to actually study and get things done and go to bed on time and wake up on time? Well, because it removes friction. You don't actually have to set the alarm the night before. It's already set. You don't have to do all this stuff. It's already programmed. It removes temptation. If you don't have access to social media apps, if you don't have access to websites, then you just can't get on it. And you know what? I can guarantee you it's going to be way, way harder for you to actually get up and go manually reset something. And I'm sure you can do that. But ultimately, it's the avoiding that initial temptation. And it creates a pre-commitment. So again, if you set something up on location-based triggers and you walk into your room and it's already on, the light is set, the playlist is playing, you don't have access, like there's nothing else to do. You're committed. Go. If you want to become a high-performing student, you have to understand what high performers do. They don't try to use willpower and fight against it and fight against it and push against it. No, they're very strategic with their decision fatigue, how much energy they have, and how they automate their life. Because at the end of the day, they know that willpower is a finite resource. And as you go through the day, you have less and less and less. So with that being said, you can automate your entire life, but if you don't actually do the work, well, then, there's always going to be a way around it. So at the end of the day, you do have to sit down and crack the book. Now, I need to know if you really like this video and you want more of this kind of geeky, techie, smart home stuff, I will absolutely do that. Leave a comment below and just write the word more. And I promise you we'll go a lot more deep into some of these ways to set these up and actually show you on screen, and I'll walk you through step by step. Now, at the end of the day, this is creating habits. That's what this is. So if you want to actually figure out what are the real detailed habits that you can be creating for yourself to become a high performer, then check out this video right over here.